Good evening, and welcome to Gator's Garage, the home of all things historical gaming in and around the great city of Savannah, Georgia. You have with you tonight, of course, Mike Baker, the Gator, and of course, my good buddy Randy. This is the roughly weekly Mike and Randy show. So there we go. Before we get too deep in, make sure that you do all the YouTube things like, subscribe, share, all the stuff that helps our channel grow. If you got comments, we're more than happy to hear them. If you got stuff you'd like to see us cover, drop it in the comments below or email gatorgameswayx@gmail.com, and we will certainly take it under advisement. So fantastic. Well, Randy, good evening. How you doing?
Oh, I'm doing good. I really am.
Very good. Very good. Now, you did well, we'll get to that in a minute. So this was a challenge, I think, that I gave you or you took up to build an optimized U.S. Army list for bolt action. And now, do you own this list, or is this was just kind of what you
Oh,
could do if you put your mind to it?
yeah. I mean, I've got everything there is American, so there's not much I can't put on the table.
Okay,
Um, yeah. So everything that's in this list I have. I wouldn't have to make any models up.
fantastic. Well, I know you have the Rangers. I've been on both sides of playing with those guys. Both, I think I've even borrowed the Army once and used it. So I know you got the Rangers. Now you've got the old Ranger kit. I think Rangers lead the way. And this is the
Yeah.
what you see here is the new plastic kit, which I think you you and I both like to cuss metal models because it's like, oh my gosh, especially multi-part. Whoever came up
Yeah.
with the idea of multi-part metals, yeah, bad idea. So there we go. All right. So obviously the core of this army is your Ranger squad.
Yeah. So the last time we talked about, just differences between the armies of and the core book as far as building
Right.
the list, and then so I went one step further here
Yeah.
and just kind of optimized it for the way I would run the list to be competitive.
Right. My apologies there, bro. When I slid it over, I cut off some of the verbiage. Sorry, folks. We were kind of doing this. We usually do this thing pretty close to live, so there you go.
Yeah,
But yeah, so Rangers, you got your platoon commander with the
yeah,
Ranger special rule.
yeah.
Wait,
So
you took a veteran commander? No way.
yeah, so this is so Rangers were like my second love. I had my first army was Band of Brothers, which Mike was generous enough to give me, and so I built 40 airborne dudes, and that's where I got started. And then I started just falling in love with the Rangers lead the way. So I bought a box of Rangers and I built 40 Rangers. So with the new rules now, we can take a big squad for headquarters.
Yeah.
So let's see, how many guys do we have, right? Is it just two?
Wow.
Infantry with
I
rifle,
am
officer
I am
with
so
rifle.
sorry. That really cut that up bad. We were checking everything else, we didn't catch that.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think it's more than that because the cost.
It's officer with a rifle and infantry with a rifle.
Yeah, there's more than one. I want to say there's 4 or 5 dudes here. I
Yeah,
think
you've got an officer and 5 infantry, so that's going to be able to
yeah,
roll 6, 8 dice when it shoots.
yeah,
So
and
that's pretty
so I brought them veterans so that I could take and make them rangers because I wanted to have ranger commanders,
right, right,
which allows them to move up with the rangers as well, so that they're not left behind by the free move from the rangers.
right,
You know, otherwise they get out of the bubble, and then it's like the officer's not even there. So
right. Absolutely. Man, I chopped
plus
this.
it gives them a lot of survivability and some firepower. I mean, for a headquarters unit, that's yeah, 6 guys.
Yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
6 guys. So that gives you 2 extra shots, which makes it
Yeah.
8 shots total, which is pretty good from a headquarters unit. You know.
And again, it's reaching out, in the new rules, that's going to reach out the full 24 inches, no
Yeah.
long range modifier. Um, and as you and I were talking about in your event you played this last week, it's not a cover negative now; it's a cover save, and that really is a game changer. It can really,
Yeah.
literally cut both ways. So yeah, 24-inch rifles are pretty effective. I noticed that in the game I played this last weekend. That man, those rifles were reaching way out there. It was Japanese
So
versus US Marines.
yeah, so with Americans, I see a lot of people bringing all kinds of gear. I think it's a mistake not to just bring rifles,
Okay, not the
because
BAR.
not the BAR, because I mean it costs extra points. It doesn't
Right.
add to your bonus of rifle shots, and so there's two ways to do this. With the Rangers lead the way.
Yeah.
If you're meeting engagement,
Yeah.
then you're going to get a free 12 inches before you do anything. So then you can advance up 6 and shoot. You can pretty much reach the back line.
Yeah, that's 18 inches. You're right. I mean, your average table is 4x8 with a deployment area usually of 6 to 12 inches. So yeah, you're going to be
Yeah,
reaching out and touching people with rifle fire.
yeah.
Okay. I
Now,
think. I think.
now,
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
so and it's even better if you're doing prepared positions, because now you're deployed 12 inches in. Then they get a free move. They can go all the way up to halfway across the board, and then they get to do something
Okay.
first round. So yeah, I mean
Wow.
it's huge. But even if you don't have Rangers, if you just have regular infantry, it's a mistake not to mechanize them, because they're in the truck. You can move them up 8 or 9 to 12 inches. They're going to get out and shoot. Now their rifles are still reaching the back line.
Right.
So there's no reason to bring any other gear. Submachine guns are absolute waste unless you have a specified, like a whole squad of submachine guns, and you want to put them in a transport, and you want to jump out point blank on somebody and just hose them down. But to throw 2, 3 submachine guns in a squad of American infantry is a mistake. It really is.
And as we see with this, I think you've got the command squad is 6. The um, the regular squads I think are a little bit bigger, but I
Yeah,
think
there's
even
7.
yeah. So there you could make an argument to have that NCO with an SMG, but
Yeah, true. Or a
yeah,
BAR. You could definitely throw a BAR in there. Um,
yeah,
I'm kind of calculating that these Rangers are going to lose a guy at some point.
no,
So they, even if they lose a guy, they're still at 6, so they're still getting the bonus. So that's kind
that
of why they're
okay.
7-man.
That makes a great deal of sense, and this is one of those things that speaks to bolt action the game versus bolt action the historical game. And
Yeah.
you're building this for tournament. Uh, one of the things that's coming down the road from the channel is I really want to take a hard look at doing some bolt action some historical scenarios using the bolt action rules, because they work well for that too.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
but a lot of our focus here is, since you travel the country doing tournaments, a lot of our focus is the awesome tournament scene, which is really strong for bolt action, very competitive,
Yeah.
but also a lot of fun. So there you go. All right. Oh yeah, and you said mechanized, and actually the correct term is motorized.
Motorized.
Mechanized.
Well,
Yeah.
okay. So mechanized would be armored transports. Motorized would be soft skin transports.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, usually mechanized is tracked, half
Yeah.
tracked, kangaroos, which are rapidly becoming one of my favorite things. I've got a couple from Warlord sitting in the shop. If I don't end up building those, I'll be surprised, because kangaroos, they're just fun.
Kangaroo or LVT?
Kangaroo,
Really?
you know,
Okay.
yeah,
Uh,
why not? It's a good
armor
little item.
armor 8. It's armor 8. It's hard to
Right,
kill.
right, and it's got 1 to 2 machine guns on it. So
Yeah.
what's not to love, right?
Yeah.
So,
Let's see. We skipped the company commander.
yeah, well, he was kind of skippable.
He was lagging behind. So
So,
he's inexperienced.
oh my gosh,
2
yeah,
extra guys, all with pistols.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Save points.
and so why did you take him inexperienced and then take your platoon leader as veteran?
So So the company commander, I do not want to be shot at.
Okay.
The platoon commander is stout enough that he can get out there and be effective, and
Okay.
he's like another squad. But the company commander with his morale bonus of 4, I want him behind everything. And then I actually threw a couple guys in because if you give them pistols, it makes them kind of cheap. Only 6 points apiece.
Meat shields.
Yeah, I mean he's going to take a hit here and there,
Right.
So
Right. Well,
it's safe.
his guys will anyway.
Yeah.
This is
Here,
round.
get out there, take that shot.
Oh my gosh. Oh,
I
it's
could
all.
I could see him walking behind him.
Oh my gosh. It's all the veterans that are watching the channel start twitching. It's like, my gosh, guys are
Uh,
fratricide waiting to happen. Okay, there we go. And then here's some of the teeth from your rifle platoon here.
yeah. So bazooka team, veteran, Rangers lead the way. So that's something special because they'll be able to push up and be able to take shots right away
Right.
at armor,
Right. And again,
or buildings,
yeah,
Don't go
buildings,
in a
joy.
building. Yeah.
Right. Read a story, by the way, of a Congressional Medal of Honor winner fighting in the Herskin Forest, and darn Germans fired a Panzerfaust at him. Right. He was dug
Wow.
in. Yeah, he was dug in, and they fired a Panzerfaust to try and take out his MG position. And I think they blew it away from him, and then he chased it down and reloaded it and kept fighting. He ended up, I
Wow.
think, getting killed. But yeah, so
That's crazy.
right. Of course, I don't know that I'd use a Panzerfaust on an infantry guy in bolt action, but of course, we love picking infantry off with anti-tank rifles.
Yeah.
So that's something. And again, you took veteran because they're going to be in the mix. They're going to be taking fire.
Well, in order to get the Rangers lead the way rule, you have to take them veteran.
Got it.
That's a prerequisite. So
Okay. Yeah,
and so if you think about it, so they're veteran, which is not a bad thing. Makes them survivable. The Rangers lead the way rule only costs them 2 points.
wow.
It's 1 point per man. So that's like I'm getting a run for 2 points. I mean, that's just amazing.
Yeah, that makes that bazooka much more flexible.
Mm-hmm.
And again, point of history, I believe all the Rangers were in fact veterans. That was specifically a requirement.
Yeah. So that's not something the airborne shared. There was airborne guys were not always veterans. So,
oh no. Yeah, they especially, I think they filled the airborne divisions out after North Africa and before Sicily. I think the first airborne drops, at least for the U.S., and maybe for the British as well, were in Sicily. I don't think they did any airborne drops in the desert, and I'm sure some sharp-eyed historian will come along and correct me on that. But unless they did an airborne drop when they did Operation Torch, I'd have to go back. But to your point, airborne, highly trained, definitely rate as regular or above, but not necessarily veteran, certainly in 44, whereas the Rangers would all have been pretty much veteran, except for some of their support elements like these poor light mortar guys.
Yeah. So this is something that's new for the Americans is a 3-man light mortar team.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So for just a few more points, you get an extra dude. And I mean, I think this is absolutely worth it because that means I can take a casualty without taking a morale check.
Right. 2-man team like your bazooka team, yeah, they're veteran, but you lose one of those guys and now you got a morale check +1.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 2 light mortars because I just like being able to move and shoot with these things. I do really well with light mortars. So I got 2 of those.
Yes, you do. Been on the receiving end of your light mortar love.
Yeah.
Hey, quick question now. If I were to model my light mortar team with rifles, if you got within 12 inches, could they then engage you as a rifle team?
No, but there is, which one is it?
I know the Japanese can embed light mortars in their squads.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Yeah,
Wish
but I
everybody
think, yeah, they get 3 of them. It's not like they only get 1; they get 3. They can put 3 in a squad.
heavy weapon squad. Yeah,
God. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Okay, very good. So
So
don't bother modeling my light mortar guys with rifles, huh?
yeah, so I got a Jeep here, and it is not for the Rangers bazooka team.
Oh,
It's actually for a regular bazooka I have further down in the list.
okay,
Because
okay,
there's no need to put him in a Jeep if he's getting a free run move.
right.
It's like defeating the purpose of doing the whole thing. So
Yeah, okay, interesting.
plus the worst thing you can have happen is that they take D6 hits because the Jeep got blown up.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just it's kind of interesting that we've got a 3-man U.S. light mortar team, but then the kit from Warlord comes with a 2-man team. So you'd want to bring a guy in from your Ranger crew to be that third guy, and
Yeah.
probably modeling them laying down. You'd probably have 3 laying down guys, or a guy kneeling with binoculars.
Binoculars. That would be my choice. Is some binoculars. Got a
Yeah,
loader, binoculars, and a tube. So
yeah, that looked pretty cool. Okay, and like you noted, your Jeep doesn't actually have that awesome, sexy 50 cal on it because it's not a light gun platform. It's just a basic wheel
yeah,
transport, motorized.
that's actually a pretty good buy too. The Jeep with the heavy machine gun, I believe,
Oh
is
yeah.
around 48 points,
Ooh.
and I would never take one with a 30 cal.
Why not?
And so the reason is it's soft skin. 30
Okay.
cal has a 36-inch range, which means you're in range of machine gun fire.
Okay.
But if you take a 50 cal, you can stretch it out to 48, so you can back up. You can be out of range of everybody shooting at you and just lay down some fire.
Lay down some heavy machine gun love.
Yeah.
Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong, but the new HMGs are rate of fire 6 with a +1.
Hmm.
Yeah? Is that right? The new HMGs are rate of fire 6 with a +1, or is it rate of fire 3?
Well,
50
if
cal.
it's six, the rate of fire is 6, but if you're firing at infantry, it's 3.
Right, 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 right.
And if you're firing flak, then it's
6
full 6.
with a 50 cal with a +1 pen. Yes, always nice. Very cool. Okay. Let's talk about armor. Version 3
Armor
has definitely seen armor be revitalized, I think.
more so than that, it's actually become a tank wars game, really.
Interesting. Okay.
It
That's an
really
interesting
has.
perspective. Okay.
Yeah, you see in almost everybody bringing 2 to 3 or more pieces of armor. Um,
Yes. Yeah.
so the first piece here is it's actually quite a deal because you upgrade for 30 points, you get the 76 millimeter gun, and you do away with all the vulnerability.
Yeah.
So you're getting quite a bit for 30 points,
Yeah.
and you need something with that heavy anti-tank gun to try to knock out enemy armor.
Right.
And 9 armor is really tough to remove. It actually really is. Unless somebody's got a big tank, they can shoot at you all day long with auto cannons and anti-tank rifles, and all they're going to do is put a pin on it.
Interesting. Okay.
And since you got a company commander, they really don't care about pins. You just want to keep him close to your tanks, keep them up and going.
Right. Right. Yeah. I'm looking at that, and I know you and I were talking before the show as to whether or not that's a jumbo, not a jumbo, a Easy 8.
Easy 8. Okay, so yeah, see, that's an M4 though that you're looking at. It's a 75 millimeter in the picture.
In the picture, right? But the
Yeah.
76 were the
I
Easy.
let me I've got a 76. I don't actually have an Easy 8.
Right.
In here. Yeah, he is. All right. So that is a 76. You see the turret's basically the same. They got a little an ammo box on the back, and so that's a 76.
See, and I think
Now,
the Easy 8 has some heavier armor on it.
the turret's a little bit more boxy, a little bigger, and then it has a huge ammo box back. It sticks
Right.
out quite a bit. Um, and I don't
Okay.
think it has any of the vulnerability of the. Let's see. Yeah, I've got an early war Sherman. That's it. I've got quite
Okay.
a few Shermans. I think I got 4 Shermans.
You can't ever have too many Shermans.
Nah, if the
It's
Army
like having
thought they needed to have 1 million of them, then I need to have quite a few.
that's like having too many T-34s. It's like nope.
Yeah,
All right. Well, fantastic. So that's your 76, and that's kind of your dedicated tank killer there.
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's got the 2-inch HE, which you don't have to spend the points to get that 2-inch HE. But I spent the 30 just so I can have a tank hunter in my list besides the
Yeah.
bazookas.
Right. Right. Okay. Very good.
Which brings us to the next tank, which is still a tank hunter. It's a M3A1 Stuart Satan flamethrower tank. So it has a turret-mounted flamethrower with coax MG and a forward hull MG. Um, and if you'll notice, when you buy this tank, Stuarts are vulnerable, right? Sides
Yeah.
and rear, you get extra penetration. Well, this one it doesn't have it. So it's the same cost, 135 points. You're just swapping the AT gun, which is almost useless, for a flamethrower, and you're losing the vulnerability. So it's a
Okay.
pretty good bargain. So it's an
Okay.
8 armor tank, no
Right.
vulnerability to it at all. Even the Chaffee's vulnerable, and this one's not. So I think it's a really
Wow.
good.
Okay.
If it runs out of fuel, you still got 6 shots that you can run around and shoot
Right.
in an 8 armor platform.
Right. It's still a machine gun carrier. So yeah.
And it's fully enclosed. So if you want to run over infantry or artillery with it, you can do that as well.
Crunch, 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 crunch,
That's
crunch, crunch,
that's so
crunch.
much fun. I love it. I love running over artillery pieces.
I don't think I've seen. I've not been on the receiving end of you doing it, but I've seen Chris Hutchison do it a couple
Well,
times.
actually, who
Crunch.
was it I did it to? I ran. It might have been his. I ran over a guy's Pack 40 with
Ooh.
a
Yes.
Vickers no less, a little
Oh
7 armor
my
65 point tank, and I ran it
god.
over.
Oh, the humanity. Oh my gosh. Wow. Yeah, that's awesome.
So yeah, it's fun. It really is a lot of fun.
We ought to have a award in our tournament that's coming up for the most lopsided kill.
Or how about tank assaults? The most
Yeah,
tank assaults.
you know what? Yeah, well that'll be the Treadhead Award. Yeah, that's a good idea, and we can give out a tank for it. I like that idea. I think we'll do that. That's good. So
Cool.
yeah, light tanks are still tanks, and they have all the
Yep.
benefits. So, but they're cheaper. So that's pretty good. I mean, I
Yeah.
think it's 90 points cheaper than your 76 Sherman.
Yeah.
And then you got his big brother there, the Sherman 75.
Yeah. So yeah, 2 9 armor tanks in this list is really strong. This is a 75 millimeter gun, which is no slouch.
Mm-mm.
Um, and it has all the vulnerabilities. Unfortunately, it has the weak sides and easily catches fire. But it's a 2-inch HE. It's going to reach out and touch infantry. And if it probably put it on ambush, and if it catches a piece of armor hitting on a 3, it's got a pretty good chance of doing something to it.
Somebody somewhere, and it might have been our friend Brent, but somebody somewhere said that, especially the early war Shermans, or mid-war, or the early Shermans, the Germans called them Tommy cookers because they brewed up so easy. Like,
Yeah,
ew.
I think that was myth busted.
Really?
I really
Really?
do.
Wow.
I think it's not as bad as people made it out to be. There's a video out there about that.
Interesting. Okay. Okay. Very good. I will say this about that. Um, from the beginning, Allied armor was, especially American armor, was much more reliable than anything the
Yeah.
Axis had.
Yeah.
Basically, I've got the book Armor, the old Valentine book from like published in '68. But one of the observations they made, they were like, "There's just no way the German armor could have sustained the rate of movement." That made a huge difference on both fronts. I mean, the Russian T-34 was the same way. Just it was
It
a dang
used much
erratic.
more fuel, much more fuel.
Yeah.
Um, and one other thing too is if you look at the Sherman here, um, the front part up to the machine gun unbolts in this tank and comes off. So basically, they take off the drive axle. And so if it tears up, they don't have to send the tank off. They can repair it in the field. They can bring out a whole nother front drive section, unbolt it, drop it, and bolt the new one on, and the tank's going again.
Wow. That and at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what your paper strength is. It's how many vehicles you can actually put in the line.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Let's see what we got next here. Next slide, please. There we go. Hey, we got this
Heavy
one right.
weapons. Actually, I
Yes.
don't have another bazooka. Okay, so I don't. Um, yeah, I have to remember back on this. So I have an officer here with a pistol. Save that point.
Right.
And he has two medium mortars. These are inexperienced because the Americans, for some odd reason, get them so much cheaper than
Okay.
everybody else. 32 points instead of 36.
Huh.
And
Big
I don't think
points.
I had any points in my list really to make them regular with spotters. So they just have to have line of sight. That's all.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay.
it's not bad. They're fairly survivable, but it's like this. It's 32 points, and if you're going to dedicate all unit to shoot at it to try to take it out, you're not shooting at the rest of my army.
Okay. Okay.
And it's always going to be in cover, so it's going to get a good cover save. So, yeah,
Yeah,
I
at
can
least a
live with it.
5+. Right. And
Yeah,
again, you're taking the inexperienced officer here because this officer is not intended to be up seeing combat. He's just back there to
no,
do a snap two and fire both tubes at one time.
fire them both, and then if they take
Oh,
a casualty or two, he's going to be there to morale buff them so that they don't break and run.
I like it. Yeah.
Um, so the Jeep in this list, why the Jeep was it was one, it was more to add an extra dice because of the big tanks. I needed to get my dice count up. But also if you have a like an envelopment scenario, I can take one of the light mortars and an officer and throw it in the Jeep. And actually, I can't do that because they're 3-man. Um, but the idea is you put a couple small units in the Jeep and you just run it across the board and score points.
probably that bazooka team and an officer.
Yeah, that would be, well, maybe, or maybe just throw two officers in,
Ooh,
you know,
yeah.
because it's the bazooka may have a purpose uh, before that. I mean, it's a Ranger. So he's already getting his 12 inches. So he's going to move up and maybe take a shot and then maybe run for the hills and try to get across the board.
Right. Right. It does. At the end of the day, it's a very mobile piece that you can use to move any number of these things to
Mm-hmm.
keep your opponent guessing. So wow, that's fantastic. Okay. Something else, I was looking at this and it made me think of something. And then the thought blew out my mind. So there you go. All right. One more time. So I ran the list through Chat GPT. And to all of our guys out there, if you want to have something that'll do a quick look at your list, Chat GPT seems to do a pretty good job of kind of evaluating um, your infantry core, strong and mobile, which we know that. But this, especially if you're new to bolt action, this might at least give you some things to think about. Also, a good idea to take some of the tournament armies, maybe. And the way that would work is you just upload it. You just go to Chat GPT and log in and or not even log in and just you can attach a file and say here review this file. um, And yes, bolt actions out. It has access to the bolt action rules. So the Satan flamethrower. Now he's saying anti-infantry, and of course it is. I think all of us hate seeing flamethrowers come after our infantry, and that really, Randy, when I saw it in there, I was like, well, yeah, you're gonna use that to, and again, you use it to roust any number of infantry. I think even the Japanese take extra pins and negative effects from the flamethrower. And of course, I love the way the mortar is described. Excellent pin engine. Not only a pin engine, but you don't want to stay in place when those mortars start dropping on you. You're going to have to move, especially facing off against Randy, because Randy's been known to pull a 5 or 6 out of his hat when you least expect it.
Oh yeah, it'll come.
And it's out of that hat there. I have no doubt. 15 dice, and Randy, when I was looking at these, the other list had 16, so I really thought it was maybe would have been the stronger dice, but you actually went down a level for this optimized list.
It's a little low, but it has almost all the units are very survivable.
Yes.
So you're less likely to lose a dice early on, and if you can whittle your opponent down, then you're going to even up that dice count pretty quick.
Right. Yeah, you see these guys that bring the big dice count lists, and the flip side is if you're a KG player, is go for the little units. A lot of these are 2-man, 1-man units, and 1-man unit will just eliminate a 2-man unit, hit one guy, make the rest take a test. And if he's got a lot, they're probably inexperienced or regular, so their morale's not gonna be great, and they're picking up already another ding on their morale because of the pin marker where you just shot them. Get a compliment there on the U.S. National rules. Again, talking about using those rifle armed Rangers. And I didn't notice, but your Sherman's a veteran, so he's going to have gyro stabilizer. Check it
out. No, it's regular. It has it in the description, but you have to take the veteran for it to be actually active.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Yeah. So the Rangers lead the way. What that does is they can move up and get on objectives quick, and then the tanks follow them up and get on them and hold them. You stick a 9-armor tank on an objective, and you're really going to have to really work hard to get it out of that.
Right. The tank's not holding the objective. With the way the objective rules are written, once your infantry unit moves on the objective, it's considered controlled by that side until another infantry unit can move onto the objective. And that unit cannot claim that objective if there's any enemy units within 3 inches. Well, if that Sherman's sitting on the objective, you ain't claiming it.
And you may not want to get too close to it either.
Right, and you may not last long. One of my favorite tricks with armor is to do a split arc on it, where you got the bow machine gun covering one arc and the turret arc covering another arc, and man, you can cause all kinds of mischief. So that's pretty good. All right, Randy, talk to us about the last tournament you went to.
Yeah, so I went to Ocala. It was a Blitzkrieg tournament, and 1,250 points. Let's see, the comps were maximum 2 flamethrowers, maximum 2 multi-rocket launchers. I think they had a maximum of 4 platoons.
Yeah.
And I think that was pretty much it. I think they did have a dice cap too. I think 18 was the cap, I'm pretty sure. Okay. So quite a bit of comp in place. This was my first game. It was meeting engagement, and I'm on this side of the table here in the foreground. My opponent had Americans, and he had a Hellcat. He had a priest, and he had I think an M15.
Wow.
And then he had lots of veteran infantry. Well, not lots, but he had pretty chunky veteran American squads, and he was wise to Gurkhas. So if you look at the all the way at the back line, there's woods, there's a ruin, and then a ruin. He never crossed that line. He stayed back. He was like, I'm not getting anywhere near your Gurkhas. he didn't want me to assault him, right?
Right.
So I'm
Right.
like, okay. So early on, I kept a truck with some Gurkhas in reserve, and I came up the right side past these ruins, and because he had a heavy machine gun team in the woods on the upper right corner,
Yep.
and so I was going to go after that, and then there's some squads after that behind it. Well, he hit it with the heavy machine. He hit the truck, so I rolled up past the ruins, and I was going to advance out and move towards the machine gun team and shoot him. And of course, I didn't get the next dice. He did. So he shot the truck, killed the truck. The Gurkhas had to get out, and that basically blunted that. There was an officer in there too as well. So the officer died, the truck died. So I was already seek and destroy. I was already down 2 units. So I'm like, oh, I got to really tighten up here. Um, that was the last unit he killed of mine.
I was gonna say he's giving you though most of the board to maneuver around. So.
Yeah. So he had the priest all the way on the far left, hiding just behind on the side of those ruins, and he had to place it before I got the last dice. So I put my comet on this road right next to this building, and we'll have a shot of that later. But I think it took 2 shots, managed to kill the priest, and then yeah, that sounds bad. But so the key thing here is open top vehicles. This whole game just revolved around his open top vehicles. He had the M15 and he had the Hellcat, right?
And the priest.
Well, yeah, and the priest was, but I managed to destroy it outright. So what I did was my bombardments and rifle fire. I put pins on his Hellcat and the M15.
Right.
And he didn't push them up on the board far enough, and he failed order tests, and both of them backed off the board. And that flipped the game. I ended up winning. I think I had like 8 kills to his 2.
And we've talked about that. That's the two-edged sword of Reese units, and even not Reese.
Absolutely. And that's what got his Hellcat, because he moved up. So he moved up 9 inches, right?
Right.
The problem is when you move up 9 inches, you're moving up 9 inches from the front of the tank. The back of his tank is only 6 inches from the back of the board. And he's allowed, because it's recce, he can make a full reverse run move. So when he reversed, he backed off the table. And then the M15, I think it backed up twice. He failed his order test twice, and the first time it didn't go off. The second time it did go off the board. So,
wow,
yeah.
So what we've seen, looking at what you did here and looking at the army list we just looked at, is there's some really key elements in the new rules. Officers are amazing, and then armor it's really a mixed bag. I mean, you can cause a lot of trouble with it, but a cagey player that can put pins on armor, because I mean, armor's vulnerable to pins, unless it's veteran, it's vulnerable to pins from just about anything with an AT rating.
So the one thing my opponent said after this game was he was totally amazed at my company commander, because even though stuff was getting pinned, because he was hitting my stuff as well, I failed no order test, right? And he failed order test after order test, and my mortars were absolutely, because he was just sitting back there, not moving up. So that meant my mortars were just plopping down on top of him and taking out guys. He'd go down, so he'd half his hits, but it just kept adding up to a point where he had nothing left.
Yeah. What was it? This was what was the name of the scenario again?
Seek and destroy. So just basically a kill point mission. Yeah.
But you gotta stay in motion. You definitely don't want to, just like in real life, you don't want to give those mortars time to dial in on you. And
and my bombardments, if you're sitting still and all bunched up, my bombardments are hitting 4 and 5 units at a time.
Right.
Even if they don't get a direct hit, it's pins. And I think this is another one of those games where the only direct hit I get is against an officer, and then I roll a 1 to damage the officer. It's like, oh, really?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's called Lucky Day. Wow. Wow. Let's see what else you got going on here.
Yeah.
Tell
So
us
the
you get to
next
run
slide.
all over the country playing games. Same game, same board.
Yeah. So this was round 2, and I was on the opposite. I got stuck on the same table again because of the way the pairings went, and I played David Serkamp this game, and it was demolition. So he got to pick everything. He got to pick sides. He got to pick who went first to pulling the base, which meant I had to go first. So I put my base in these woods down here on the bottom left, and he put his over behind the ruins on the upper far right corner over there. My thinking was, with this mass of ruins in front of me, that it would slow him down getting to me. And I planned on defending the open sections between on both sides,
right,
to try to slow him up. And I really tried to blow up. He came through this gap, but I tried to blow him up before he could get there. And I think the only thing I managed to do was immobilize one of his M15s right there. But he still had room to get around with the Jeep and some dudes and stuff.
Mobility matters, yeah.
Yeah, and I think I put my Crusader down here in the woods to guard it, and then I had my the Kangaroo, and I ran the Kangaroo. So I dropped the company commander out, and I ran the Kangaroo up to try to go up in here on this gap to the left of the ruins and just try to plug it so he couldn't get through there. And I couldn't quite get far enough to completely block it off, just make him have to make a couple extra turns. So that was kind of bad. And then my main push on the far right toward his base, I had an armored truck with Gurkhas in it and another truck with Gurkhas in it. And I think I put the truck in reserve so that I could come on without, a little farther up without getting shot at. But he had, so turn 1, I got to put my Comet down again last, and he had his Lee over in the ruins in the far upper right corner. So that's where he put his Lee. And so I put my Comet down, and I think it was prepared positions in this one. And I got the first dice I shot. Very first dice, I blew his Lee up. So yeah, I love that Comet, man. It's just been, I think I killed like 5 pieces of armor through the whole, some transports, which we'll talk about game 3, really key. But anyway, so, but he had 2 more M15. He had 4 M15s and a Lee in this list. Yeah, so it was pretty brutal. Yeah, he didn't have much infantry, and I was trying to take advantage of that, but his damn cover saves. It seemed like he never failed a cover save. But he blew both my trucks up, so my Gurkhas had to get on foot and try to race towards his base, which slowed him down enough to the point where I didn't get there by the time he got to mine. And he had 3 units over here in the woods around my base, and I had turned the Comet over that way to try to, to tear him up, try to stop him. And I actually managed to hit all 3 units with a 3-inch HE. And it was, I think, 4 or 5 wounds with a +3 penetration. And he makes the 5-up cover saves. He makes all of them. And then the MG shoots at him and wounds 2 guys, and he makes those 2 5-up cover saves. So I didn't kill anybody, and I needed to do that. When I got the hit, I was like, that's gonna. Well, it'd have been a draw. I think it probably would have been a draw. I don't think I would have ever got to his base because he still had 2 M15 meat choppers over there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so one of them, he had tried to push through these ruins on the left, and I managed to start pinning it because that was the thing. I was going to pin his open top. And he kept failing order tests and backed up. He actually backed up all the way into the woods behind it because he just, I think he failed like 3 times in a row, and he just kept backing up. But
Yeah. Wow.
it was a really close game. It was a really good game, and he just so when he rolled to blow it up, one unit failed, one unit did manage to roll a 4 up. So he got my base, and I couldn't get to his. So
Ah.
that was a loss. So I was 1-1 at this point.
Okay. This is
And oh my God, this is the one table I was hoping I would not get.
the rail
There,
yard.
there was some really cool tables out there, and I was like, oh, I want to play on some of the other ones. Um, but this one had so many really, I guess you call line of sight blockers. It was
Yeah.
tough for my, yeah. And of course, he won deployment. We were in quarters, and this one was objectives. We had 7 objectives.
Oof. Ooh.
Yeah, and he got to place objectives first, and he got to pick the quarter. So he had the upper right quarter, put me down here over where the trains are, which made it really hard as hell to me to move. I mean, oh my God. So I put a few things in reserve so that I at least wouldn't have to go through all that mess. But he had 4 objectives in his quarter.
Wow.
Yeah, and so that's just the way it was. But
Right.
once again, the Comet, I think he had a Panzer IV. I didn't manage to knock out the Panzer IV, but I had, let's see, where did I place my Comet? It was just to the right of this little drag line, sitting down between the train and the drag line right
Okay.
there, that little crane thing. And there was a base or an objective close to there, so I ran a light mortar up to it, tapped it, and then I drove my Comet up by it. And let's see. So the biggest story of this whole thing was he had a squad in a Hanamag that was all assault rifles. I think it was like 8-man assault rifles. Massively, they were veterans, so it was like almost 200 points for this squad. And there was a couple bases over on this neutral quarter over on the right,
Yeah.
and so he ran that Hanamag down right into the road right there, and he was going to get out and try to get the bases. Well, my Comet drove up into the road, turned, and fired, and I got a 5 and hit it. And of course, I blew the Hanamag to pieces. So they
Right.
had to jump out. I think they took like 1 wound, got down
Wow.
behind the Hanamag, and they never got away from that. I kept shooting at them, pinning them, killing them. Eventually, I just wiped them out. Mortars started hitting them because they weren't moving, and
Jeez.
so they never got to an objective. And my observer was over here on the very far right. He had called in the first strike,
Right.
which was pretty effective. It did quite a few pins because he was all bunched up in his quarter.
Mm.
So I hit quite a few things. Um, Instead of calling in the second strike, I sent him on a mission to go tap some of his objectives while he was pinned down, and I managed to get him on 2 objectives. And then once they were mine, because he hadn't got to it yet, my Gurkhas came in from reserve in a truck, and they got out and ran up there and started holding the objectives.
Excellent. Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So I think I ended up with 5 out of 7 objectives at the end.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Definite win. Definite win.
My Comet also, so if you look at the just past the crane, there's a little chute that goes up into the big tower.
Yep.
And
Green shoe.
there's a little metal framework right there. Well, the Panzerschreck team had come around that little building there and jumped out and shot through that frame and hit my Comet in the side while it was in the road, and blew the tracks off of it, but didn't kill it. It survived. And I was able to actually get my M3 Scout over there and shoot them and kill them before they could get another shot off. And then
Now,
from then on, it just sat in the road and started shooting at stuff.
your Comet was your command vehicle, I assume, so it had that
It
plus
was,
4 morale, right?
yeah,
Yes. Yeah. So you weren't gonna run them out of the tank until they were ready to leave. Wow.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay. Good job. Did you end up with a win then? Win the tournament?
yeah.
Or?
So I won that one. So I was 2 wins and a loss. I had, I think, 23 kills over three, which is pretty good considering I lost the second game to get
Sure.
23 kills.
Yeah.
Um, and I came in third. So
Okay. Okay. Respectable showing. Oh,
yeah.
there
Oh,
it
here.
is.
Yeah. The comment. Boom. And you
And
can see the priest down there laying on its side.
the smoke pall down range is the priest. Wow.
Yeah.
So generally, what they'll say is the Comet was pretty much the best British tank of the war.
Yeah. Now, if you look at this too, the way I placed my comet, if you look
Right.
at the line straight to it, he has no cover.
Right.
If I went either way, one way or the other, I'm going to give him cover. So I placed it just perfectly to take a
Nice.
shot and not give him any cover.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Man, way to go, man. Good job on the tank as always. Your model work's always first class. That's really
Thank
good.
you.
All right. Absolutely.
So that tank is it's called Mad Dog. The tank
Ah.
commander's name's Mad Dog, and so I'm going to start. So I think I had three. So I'm not going to count like armor transports. It's going to have to be actually like a tank. Like even the priest is a tank technically.
Right.
So I'm going to start putting kill marks on my tank for every
Nice.
armor I kill in a tournament.
Now I know the Germans did that. Did the Allies do that as well? Do you know?
I
Or
don't
I know
know. They did it to
you're going to
planes,
do
but
it,
oh
right?
yeah, I'm going to do it. Yeah.
I like it, and of course you'll make sure your opponent knows that. I have
Right.
15 kill rings. Be intimidated. I like. I like it. Hey, this is the thing, and I love. Now, what'd you say the name of the tank was again? The
Mad Dog.
Mad Dog. Very
Yeah, hold on
cool.
a second. I'm gonna go grab it because this is cool.
Absolutely, absolutely.
All right.
And you know, there's a
So
saying about mad dogs and Englishmen, right? You
let's
there?
see.
Okay,
Yeah.
good kill.
Well,
There you
I
go.
don't know if you can. Is it?
I can see
It's
it.
not
Yeah,
gonna
we got it.
focus. But
It looks good. It looks good from this side.
yeah, I
And
don't think it's just out of focus. That's all.
there we go. That looks
But
good. Take your time.
right on the side of the turn it says Mad Dog.
Oh, that is awesome. That is awesome. Hey, why don't you take a close-up shot of that and put that in our Pulaski's Guard Facebook group? That would be very cool.
Okay.
That'd be very cool. Yeah, that'd look good. But yeah, I mean, and of course, with the new Armies of Great Britain book coming out, that tank's going to be 30 points cheaper because you'll lose that 3-inch HE. But generally, you take that as a tank killer anyway,
Yeah.
and so that's going to be interesting.
And
So,
honestly, tanks and really armored transports because there's a lot of those in the game now.
oh
It's
yeah,
very threatening to a guy trying to push a bunch of guys up in a truck because you're not only killing the transport, you're going to kill a lot of the guys in the transport, and you're going to
right.
take them out of the game for a turn.
Yep, yep, yeah, and you know that's one of the things that really kind of pushed home to me when we first started doing this deep analysis. You knock a unit out for a turn, that's 17% of the game.
Yeah,
Knock them out for 2, that's 33% of the game, unless you get a turn 7. So, you know, sometimes it can be as much just about like what you did to the assault, German troops with the assault rifles. You just kept them pinned down, and
yeah,
sometimes that can be enough to let you do what you need to do. If your opponent can't shake his pins off to get to you, there's no threat. So, wow,
yeah.
very good. Well, Randy, this was great. Congrats. You
Thanks.
know, absolutely. And folks, I hope you enjoyed this. Um, so when's your next event? Is it going to be ours, the Pulaski
So
Guard event?
I've got a Tank Wars game coming up the 22nd, and then we'll
And
have
that's
the Pulaski tournament on the 28th.
and the Tank Wars is
So
at Moxie, right?
yeah, so Mad
Okay.
Dog will be there.
Awesome.
Um,
Awesome.
I'm gonna have three super heavy tanks. I'm gonna have a Firefly. I'm gonna have the Comet, and I'm gonna have an Achilles.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I'll have
Wow.
some other armor in the mix
Yeah.
too. But so three super heavy guns. Will be out there trying to open up enemy armor.
Nice. I gotta say, I'm really pleased, and it's a faster game, but I'm really pleased to see the whole Tank Wars concept continuing. Of course, Octoon Panzer has dropped, and it's a good detailed tank game, but it is detailed.
Yeah,
Whereas Tank Wars is very much a run and gun. Let's break the armored track toys out and go have some fun. And I
yeah,
really do. I like that. I like that a lot. I would like to sometime play in a Tank Wars tournament. I think I would enjoy it. Be a lot of fun. Honestly, I'd probably bring my Russians. What Russians? I don't know. I'd have to build
yeah.
some, but I would definitely want to do Russians.
The,
T-34s
the
for days.
the only thing I wish he would do would be to have artillery platoons.
Oi.
Because I mean you really do need to have some anti tank guns and stuff in there fighting tanks.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it's strictly armored platoons, no infantry allowed.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Very cool. Again, it's part of what makes the game work is you can tweak it.
hmm
Like I tend to do straight infantry fights, no armor,
yeah,
very little artillery, um, and it's all bolt action, and it's
yeah,
all different ways to enjoy bolt action, and I think that's huge. If you're tired of playing mixed arms games, play a Tank Wars. If you're, if you don't want to play a long game, drop down to 750 or 450
oh,
points. Like I said in my blog this last weekend, it's about playing the game and working on your general tactics. Now, small
so
tweak. Go ahead.
the 23rd, which is a
Of June.
Monday.
Of June.
Yeah, yeah.
Got it. Right.
I am going to uh, take 450 points of British and Germans to work to at lunch to the IT guys and run a
Nice.
demo game with them. They want to see it, so
Okay.
maybe I can sink the hook in and
Right.
you know
Right. Right. Fantastic. Yeah. Be sure to give them the information for Pulaski's Guard, and of course, for your favorite local game store, Gator Games and Books.
where to buy.
Where to buy? I can give you the name of my dealer.
Yeah.
So fantastic. All right. Well, Randy, this is good, and you're a good rep for the hobby. I'm looking forward to the tournament on the 28th. I'm hoping myself maybe to get one more game in just for fun between now and then. If not, I'll be running demo games that day. It's what I usually do. So if you're in Savannah, if you're within a couple hours of Savannah, if you want to test drive bolt action, come by on the 28th and see us. I'll run you through probably honestly a headquarters and a couple of squads to kind of give you a feel for it. We can always throw some armor on the table to just walk through an armor battle. But it is, our tournaments are, yeah, they're tournaments, but they're also group meetings where, we've got a live church. We're going to have the main room for a tournament, and we'll have a side room where we can run, yeah, pretty much anything we want to. So there we go. All right. Randy, before we wrap up, anything else for the folks?
um, no, I think that's it. I think we're good.
Fantastic. All right.
Oh, I am going to this weekend. Uh, I will be doing a. I've got a slideshow. I did a PowerPoint.
Go,
Wow.
Randy. Good
So
job.
yeah, so I'll be eager to show that, and it's going to be basically comparing the rules differences between version 2 and version 3.
I
So
am
there's some people out there that probably haven't got into version 3 yet, maybe played version 2,
right.
just kind of, and even people that are playing version 3, they might, see something that they missed. Um,
Yeah.
it's not going to be massively in depth. It's just going to be kind of hitting the main things.
Okay.
So it's still going to be pretty long. It's
I
probably going
am
to be an hour.
I am looking forward to seeing that, Randy.
Yeah.
Fantastic and good again. Good work. And hey folks, if you like what you're seeing, the best way to support us, Buy us a cup of coffee on Ko-Fi because Randy and I both drink. Well, Randy drinks tea, so
Yep.
buy Randy a tea, buy me a coffee. I drink lots of coffee. Randy will tell you. Um, Ko-Fi or Patreon. The links in the description below. Number one way to support the channel: buy stuff from our store, Gator Games and
Yep.
Books. We sell 10 to 15% off pretty much everything. We run sales all the time. We're out in the community. We're not just, one more online store. We're out in the community. We're doing stuff like this. We're trying to bring value to the community and recruit people, recruit new players and help old players and established players find new ways to enjoy games. So we appreciate your support. All right. I think with that, we are right at an hour. We're going to wrap this thing up. Night, y'all.
Good night, everybody.